Okay, since we cannot have a review because of the senior breakfast, I will go over the review presently right now. And we'll start out with the competitive market. There are four things that designate a market competitive. One, they have many buyers and sellers. So many buyers and sellers where one person leaving the market cannot determine or change the price of the market. The second is identical substitutes. Okay, so goods are similar, like milk. You don't go and buy Clothland milk or High's milk, you just buy milk. Three, they're price takers. And the fourth, they're easy to enter and exit. And whenever it's easy to enter and exit, you're going to have zero economic profit in the long run. So the revenue of the firms, he talks about, all firms want to maximize profits. And I think that's always important to remember. And revenue equals price times quantity. Average revenue is total revenue over quantity. He then talks about marginal revenue in the chapter. And marginal revenue is the change in total revenue over the change in quantity. And while the change in quantity is usually 1, you do have to be careful that that is it. Okay? In perfect competition, marginal revenue, average revenue, price, and demand are all the same. And they love to ask questions like, well, they give you the average revenue and they ask you what the marginal revenue of the firm is. All right, the marginal revenue equals marginal cost. That's the profit maximizer. So where MR equals MC, that's where you're going to try to figure out, do we have an MR in this one? And here, so where MR equals MC, that's where you decide how much quantity is going to be purchased. It's also where you go down to your ATC to find your total cost. Okay? So, in the short run, so your marginal cost curve above ABC becomes your supply curve. So if you want to think of supply intersecting here with demand, that's your quantity and your kind of equilibrium here. The reason the MC curve is the supply curve above the ABC is because below the ABC you shut down. Okay, in the short run, you shut down if the price is below the ABC. So if P is below ABC, you shut down and you produce nothing. The reason is that if you stayed open with price below the ABC, it will lose you more money than shutting down. Now in this scenario, I say drop it for profit. If the ATC is below the price, then you know your firm is making profit. So drop it for profit. He then starts talking about sunk cost. A sunk cost is a cost that is committed and cannot be recovered. So for an example, he gives you buy a ticket to the Ravens game. Your marginal benefit is $50. The ticket costs $40. You lose the ticket. Should you buy another ticket? And the answer is yes, because your marginal benefit is still $50 for a $40 ticket. That original ticket that's lost is a sunk cost. Okay? Now, in the long run, firms decide to exit if you're not making profit. So in the long run, firms enter markets that are profitable and exit markets that are not profitable. Okay? So there's a little difference here. In the short run, your price has to be under ABC. In the short run, you're going to exit if your price is under ABC. Okay? Because if your price is here, above the ABC, in the short run, you're still paying some of your fixed costs. In the long run, when there are no longer any fixed costs, if you're losing money, you exit the market. Okay? So, we'll then look at That's this short run supply curve. Now, sometimes, and Manku is the only one who uses this, is if you're shutting down, he will do his supply curve like this. So in the shutdown, if you're below, here you're supplying 0. That's all this is saying, is you're supplying 0 in the short run. Okay? Now, again, you drop it for profit. If the ATC is below the profit maximizing here, you know you're making profit. You drop this line to the ATC, and there is your profit box. Okay? So you know, therefore, you're making profit. I use this line as Mr. Dark because it's MR, marginal revenue, D for demand, AR for average revenue, and P for price. And there is your profit box there. Okay? And now I'm just going to show it to you the other way. If ATC is above, that's just telling you total costs are higher than total revenue. So then you do the same thing. You take your MR equals MC up to the ATC, and there is your loss box. Okay? That's the minimum you can lose. Now, let's just go back, because here's a question they love to ask. So if you're producing over here, let's just call this Q2. If you're producing over here at Q2, what should you do? Well, marginal revenue is higher than marginal cost, so you should produce more of the product. And then obviously if you're over here at Q3, marginal cost is greater than marginal revenue, so you should produce less of the product. That's a question that they often ask there. Okay? I talked about in the short run, the MC curve is above the AC, and again, the reason for that is below the ADC, we're shutting down. In the long run, again, firms will enter. Okay, when firms enter in the long run, and here we are, and Manku drew this, I would say backwards, but and here you go, when firms enter, so here is demand going, an increase in demand, which is going to take this from the long run to the short run, and then you're going to have to bring your supply curve over. So let me just clarify that, because that probably wasn't well done. In the long run, if firms are profitable, other firms are going to enter the market, which is going to shift your supply to the right and then provide zero economic profit, which ends up in the long run at zero economic profit. Okay? If firms are losing money, they're going to exit, shifting supply to the left, which again will give you zero economic profit. Why do firms stay in business with zero economic profit? Because they still can make accounting profit. Okay? And here is, again, your shift in demand. So demand shifts to the right, say like it's the cereal industry, and cereal increases IQ, so it's a taste and preference, shifting demand to the right. Now you went from zero economic profits to here is your new profit maximizing. You drop the ATC, drop it for profit, and you notice that you're now making profit. If firms are making profit, what's going to happen? You're going to get a shift of supply to the right, because firms are going to enter the market, which happens here, getting you back to zero economic profit. Now, one last thing. If you look the long run supply curve, they would say it's horizontal, because you started here and you went here, and then making it a horizontal supply curve in the long run. Okay, now, I'd like to take a second and go over some of the practice questions that I thought might have caused some difficulty for you. I think like on question 5, refer to figure 14.6, I talked about this a little when I went over that, but if the firm is in the short run in a position where price is smaller than ABC, so price is less than ABC, we're shutting down, the answer is A, B, because you're just going up that supply curve and you're supplying zero. Then I looked at question 8. Refer to 14.5 as a production level of 4 units. Which of the following is true? Well, a couple of things on this one. You know your fixed cost is 10. Why? Because at zero quantity you have a total cost of 10, so that's your fixed cost. So your fixed cost is 10, so that's going to let you figure out your variable cost also. Here, they say for the fourth unit, total revenue, so fourth unit, total revenue is 36. Now total cost is 32. So no matter what, you know it has to be higher than the variable cost if it's higher than the total cost. So B is the answer there. If the firm finds its marginal cost is 5, it should. Okay, well, if the marginal cost is 5, the marginal revenue is 9. So if marginal revenue is 9 and marginal cost is 5, you've got to increase quantity till marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So increase production to maximize profit would be the answer there. And then I looked at number 11. Suppose a competitive market is comprised of firms that face identical cost curves. The firms experience an increase in demand. So an increase in demand, what's going to happen? And we showed it here. An increase in demand is at the beginning going to drive up your price, okay? And therefore, firms will make profit. When firms make profit, new firms will enter. So one there, new firms will enter, is true. In the short run, price will rise. In the long run, price will rise further. In the short run, price does rise, but we do know now firms are going to enter the market and price is going to go down. So number 2 doesn't work. In the long run, all firms will be producing at their efficient scale. In the long run, supply is going to come, we're going to come back here and get to the long run, we're productively efficient at the lowest ATC, and we're allocatively efficient also because MC equals price or equals demand. So that's why that one is correct. Okay, if you have any other questions, of course, feel free to email me. Have a great night.